A freighter carrying a crew of 29 disappeared on Lake Superior during a severe storm last night, and so far, no survivors have been found.
In the area where the Fitzgerald went down, a sister ship joined the search, but so far all that was found was an oil slick, life jackets, and an empty lifeboat.
The wreck of the SS Edmund Fitzgerald has always occupied a unique place in maritime history, resting beneath the cold, dark waters of Lake Superior since November 10, 1975. The ship has inspired speculation, countless investigations, and haunting stories. Recently, however, a team of scientists sent a state-of-the-art underwater drone into the depths to revisit the wreck site, expecting only to collect updated imaging and environmental data. What the drone transmitted back was far from routine, and the implications have left experts unsettled and the wider world stunned. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. The first images relayed by the drone were familiar: the twisted steel hull, the massive deck still lying eerily intact, and the scattered debris field around the ship. But as the drone ventured deeper into the surrounding sediment, its sensors began to pick up anomalies. The technology used was far more advanced than any expedition of the past. Equipped with high-resolution sonar, multi-spectrum cameras, and chemical analysis modules, it was able to reveal details never before captured. The drone began to detect traces of compounds embedded in the lakebed that had no natural explanation. They appeared in concentrated pockets near the wreck, as though something had been released from the ship itself, or perhaps introduced long after it sank. At first, the research team speculated that the readings might reflect cargo remnants. The Edmund Fitzgerald had been carrying iron ore pellets when it disappeared beneath the waves, and those pellets were expected to scatter along the bottom. Yet the material the drone identified was chemically distinct, denser, darker, and showing signatures that did not align with iron. The cameras captured strange, crystalline formations clustered near structural fractures in the hull, formations that seemed to shimmer unnaturally under artificial light. The scientists were unsettled by how organized and geometric the patterns appeared, as though the material had self-assembled over time. The drone pressed closer, maneuvering around the fractured midsection of the ship, where the vessel is believed to have broken apart in the storm. There, in the shadows of torn steel beams, the cameras caught something that forced the mission team into silence. The structures were not merely crystalline deposits. They resembled intricate lattice-like webs, stretching outward and clinging to the wreck in an almost deliberate manner. Even more unnerving was the faint glow that emanated from them, a pulse of light visible in the cold darkness of the lakebed. The glow shifted in rhythm, almost like a heartbeat, and sensors indicated fluctuations in electromagnetic fields coinciding with each pulse. Scientists immediately ruled out conventional biological processes. No known freshwater organism could create structures of that scale or complexity, and certainly not with a capacity to emit measurable electromagnetic activity. The implications raised questions that stretched beyond biology into realms of physics and material science. Could the Fitzgerald's resting place have become host to a form of life entirely unknown to science? Or was the wreck interacting with forces beneath the lake in ways not yet understood? The drone's chemical sensors confirmed that the glowing lattice exuded trace elements rarely found on Earth's surface, elements that matched more closely with extraterrestrial samples recovered from meteorites. That detail alone was enough to send shockwaves through the scientific community. If true, it suggested that the lakebed itself might contain deposits from ancient impacts, long buried and undiscovered. And if the wreck had fractured those deposits, it may have triggered the growth of these bizarre structures. Yet another possibility emerged, one far more unsettling. Some researchers began to speculate that the Fitzgerald might have carried more than iron ore in its final voyage, perhaps unknowingly transporting material linked to these formations. The exact cargo manifest had always been debated, and now the doubts intensified. The most disturbing revelation came when the drone approached the bow section. Lying half-buried in sediment, the forward hull looked unchanged from prior expeditions. But as the drone's light swept across the steel, the lattice structures appeared again, only this time they were embedded directly into the metal. They had fused with the ship itself, running along rivets and seams, integrating with the once solid steel. The Fitzgerald no longer appeared to be a simple wreck. It seemed partially transformed, as if claimed by something alien to the lake. The process gave the impression that the ship was slowly becoming something new, an unearthly hybrid of metal and crystalline growth. Mission Control noted a sudden spike in the drone's instruments. Radiation levels surged briefly, followed by interference that scrambled communications for several minutes. When the feed stabilized, the team was left staring at an image they could not explain. The drone's camera fixed on what looked like a hollow cavity inside the ship, glowing with the same pulsating light, its interior lined with symmetrical formations. The geometry was precise, almost architectural, and bore no resemblance to anything naturally occurring under the lake. The shape suggested intent, as though the wreckage had become the foundation for a structure assembled with purpose. The implications were staggering. Was this simply an extraordinary geological reaction triggered by the ship's iron ore cargo and the unique chemistry of the lake? Or had the Fitzgerald become a focal point for forces that defied earthly science? Some within the team whispered about the possibility of microbial or non-organic life that had found a way to propagate using both the ship's remains and the lake's environment. Others pointed to the electromagnetic signatures, insisting that what they were witnessing might be evidence of something intelligent, though not in the human sense. The wider world reacted with fascination and dread as preliminary findings leaked. News outlets speculated about alien activity, secret cargo, or long-dormant anomalies awakened by the shipwreck. The mystery deepened further when the drone attempted to collect a small sample of the crystalline material. The robotic arm extended, but the instant contact was made, the lattice emitted a burst of light that overwhelmed the drone's cameras. The control feed cut to static, and moments later, the drone ceased all function. Recovery attempts failed, leaving the machine lost at the bottom beside the Fitzgerald. That sudden shutdown convinced some observers that the structure was not passive but reactive, capable of responding to intrusion. Scientists remain divided on interpretation, yet all agree the discovery has changed the conversation around the Edmund Fitzgerald forever. No longer is the shipwreck only a maritime tragedy. It now stands at the center of a profound scientific mystery. Lake Superior, already known for its unforgiving storms and unexplained shipwrecks, has taken on an even more enigmatic character. Questions multiply with no answers in sight. Was the formation already present beneath the lake bed before the Fitzgerald sank? Did the disaster itself disturb something hidden in the depths? And most chilling of all, what does the growing structure intend, if intent can be attributed at all? The drone's final recordings continue to be analyzed frame by frame. Every pulse of light, every fluctuation in the electromagnetic field is being studied for patterns. Some believe the data suggest communication, signals repeating in cycles too precise to be random. If that is true, then the world may be facing the first tangible encounter with something utterly beyond comprehension, discovered not in the far reaches of space, but in the freshwater depths of North America. The Edmund Fitzgerald, once a symbol of human loss to nature's fury, has now become a threshold to mysteries that challenge the very foundations of science and reality. The story continues to unfold, with further missions being debated and preparations underway for expeditions equipped with even more advanced technology. Yet fear lingers among the researchers who have already witnessed what lies beneath. They know the moment another probe descends, it may not simply observe. It may awaken something far larger, something that has been waiting in silence for decades, hidden beneath the cold, eternal waters of Lake Superior. The discovery near the wreck of the SS Edmund Fitzgerald has opened up questions that ripple far beyond the cold waters of Lake Superior. What began as a routine research expedition has transformed into one of the most disturbing scientific encounters in recent memory. The underwater drone's sudden failure after attempting to interact with the luminous lattice formations left experts with a chilling realization. They were dealing with something capable of acting back, something that could not be dismissed as inert mineral growth or static remnants of a cargo spill. To understand the depth of this revelation, it is necessary to explore its wider implications, not just in terms of science and technology, but also history, geopolitics, and the human psyche. The Edmund Fitzgerald has long been an icon of maritime tragedy. Its sinking during a violent storm in 1975, claiming all 29 crew members, remains the most infamous disaster in Great Lakes history. For decades, the wreck was studied for clues into the cause of its sudden loss. Theories ranged from structural failure and design flaws to rogue waves and unreported cargo shifts. Yet never had anyone proposed that the wreck itself might be interacting with an unknown force at the lake's bottom. With the drone's findings, the narrative of the Fitzgerald has been radically rewritten. The ship is no longer just a monument to the power of nature. It may now be the site of an unprecedented phenomenon that science cannot yet categorize. One of the most startling aspects of the drone's recordings is the suggestion of organization within the lattice growths. Natural crystalline structures are common, forming through chemical processes under the right environmental conditions. But these growths, with their symmetrical web-like designs and pulsing light, seem to go beyond natural crystallography. The rhythmic electromagnetic activity they emit hints at coordination, perhaps even communication. If verified, it would mark the first instance of a structure demonstrating behaviors typically associated with biological systems, but constructed entirely from non-organic material. This challenges the very definition of life. Could these structures be a form of non-carbon-based life, thriving in conditions we never thought could sustain it? The implications for biology and astrobiology are staggering. For years, scientists have debated whether life must follow the same rules everywhere, carbon, water, DNA, or if it could arise in radically different ways. The Edmund Fitzgerald site could provide evidence that life, or lifelike systems, can exist outside traditional parameters. If the crystalline lattice is indeed self-organizing, reactive, and possibly communicative, then it expands the boundaries of what it means to be alive. This realization feeds directly into the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. Instead of scanning radio waves from distant stars, humanity may be confronting an alien intelligence, or at least an alien biology, right here on Earth. The discovery has also reawakened interest in the geology of Lake Superior. Known as the largest freshwater lake on the planet by surface area, its depths are notoriously cold and dark, preserving wrecks for centuries. But beneath the waters lies an ancient geological story stretching back over 1 billion years. The Mid-Continent Rift System, a massive geological scar from when the continent nearly split apart, runs directly beneath Lake Superior. This rift is associated with unusual mineral deposits, volcanic activity, and traces of extraterrestrial material from meteor impacts. The fact that the crystalline formations near the Fitzgerald contain elements associated with meteorites has led some geologists to wonder if the wreck's final resting place happens to sit atop a pocket of material not of this Earth. If that is the case, then the wreck's breakage may have provided a scaffold for that material to activate, creating the structures now observed. Such a possibility raises troubling questions. If these formations are linked to meteorite deposits, what if similar anomalies exist elsewhere on the planet, waiting to be triggered by human intrusion? Could other shipwrecks or industrial activities disturb dormant systems beneath the Earth's waters? The Fitzgerald might not be an isolated case, but the first major instance where such a phenomenon has been documented. The scientific community is already debating whether this could signal an entirely new field of study, an intersection of geology, biology, and planetary science that examines how extraterrestrial materials interact with Earth's ecosystems in unexpected ways. Beyond the scientific questions, there is the geopolitical dimension. The Edmund Fitzgerald rests within United States waters, but Lake Superior also borders Canada, and the Great Lakes as a whole represent a vital resource for both nations. As soon as the drone's findings leaked, governments began to show interest. The possibility that something of extraterrestrial origin lies at the bottom of the lake immediately raises security concerns. Could the material be weaponized? Could the electromagnetic pulses interfere with communications or power grids in the region? Already, some military analysts have warned that the phenomena surrounding the Fitzgerald might not be benign. If it is reactive, then any attempts to retrieve or disturb it could provoke unpredictable results. This possibility has made both American and Canadian authorities cautious, balancing the pursuit of knowledge with the risk of awakening forces they do not understand. The global scientific community has reacted with a mixture of awe and skepticism. On one hand, many researchers see this as the most exciting discovery of the century, a chance to rewrite textbooks and explore a frontier never before imagined. On the other hand, some caution that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. They argue that the lattice formations may be misunderstood natural phenomena, exaggerated by sensor interference or artifacts in the imaging. Still, the drone's failure remains difficult to dismiss. Machines do not simply shut down without cause, and the timing, immediately after contact with the glowing structures, cannot be ignored. Even skeptics admit that something unusual is happening at the wreck site, even if they are not prepared to label it life or intelligence. Public reaction, meanwhile, has been dramatic. The Edmund Fitzgerald has always carried a haunting legacy, immortalized in song and folklore, but now that legacy has been amplified into something more cosmic and unsettling. The idea that a shipwreck in a North American lake could be connected to forces beyond human comprehension has sparked fear, fascination, and countless conspiracy theories. Some claim the Fitzgerald was deliberately carrying secret cargo, perhaps experimental materials, and that the government has known about the wreck's strange properties for decades. Others speculate that the glowing formations are evidence of ancient alien technology lying dormant beneath the lake, only now becoming active. Social media has exploded with theories that range from the plausible to the fantastic, but all share one common thread: the feeling that the Fitzgerald is no longer just a tragedy of the past, but a warning for the future. Religious and philosophical interpretations have also emerged. Some see the glowing lattice as a sign, a manifestation of something spiritual rather than scientific. The lake, long held sacred by indigenous peoples, may harbor mysteries that science is only now beginning to glimpse. In this light, the Fitzgerald's fate takes on new symbolic weight, as if the ship was chosen or destined to become part of something larger, something beyond human understanding. Such interpretations may not hold sway in scientific circles, but they reflect the deep unease this discovery has stirred in the collective imagination. Technologically, the findings near the Fitzgerald also raise questions about human readiness to explore such phenomena. The drone sent to investigate was among the most advanced of its kind, yet it proved incapable of surviving the encounter. If the structures are reactive, capable of emitting bursts of energy or interfering with electronics, then sending further machines may result in similar losses. Human divers are out of the question, given the depth and danger of the environment, not to mention the risks posed by the phenomena itself. This creates a dilemma. How can humanity study something that resists being studied? The very act of observation may provoke a response, and without a deeper understanding, every expedition risks escalation. The most unsettling possibility, however, is that the structures are not static, but growing. The drone's last recordings suggested that the lattice formations had spread across new portions of the wreck since the last manned dives decades ago. If the growth is continuing, then it raises the question of how far it could extend. Could the structures spread beyond the wreck, colonizing the lake bed? Could they alter the chemistry of the lake itself, affecting the ecosystem? Lake Superior provides drinking water for millions of people. If the phenomenon has the capacity to expand, it could eventually impact human populations in ways not yet imagined. This prospect has begun to worry environmental scientists, who are calling for immediate monitoring of the lake's chemistry and biology for signs of contamination or change. One particularly haunting aspect of the recordings lies in the rhythmic pulsing of the light within the lattice. While it could be dismissed as a chemical reaction or an interaction with the lake's currents, some researchers are considering the possibility that it represents a form of signaling. The fact that the pulses coincided with electromagnetic fluctuations strengthens this interpretation. If the lattice is transmitting, then the obvious question becomes, transmitting to whom? Is it broadcasting into the lake, into space, or simply communicating within itself? And if it is signaling, has it always been doing so, or did it begin only after the Fitzgerald sank, when human metal and cargo provided the spark to awaken it? The idea that the wreck may have acted as a catalyst for something dormant and communicative is one of the most disturbing possibilities of all. As governments, scientists, and the public wrestle with these questions, one fact remains clear. The Edmund Fitzgerald has become far more than a shipwreck. It has become a focal point for a phenomenon that challenges humanity's understanding of life, intelligence, and the boundaries of Earth itself. For decades, the ship's story was one of tragedy and remembrance. Now it is a story of dread and wonder, of the unknown stirring in the depths where human eyes rarely reach. The glowing lattice formations may one day prove to be explainable, fitting neatly into the frameworks of geology or chemistry. But until that day comes, the Fitzgerald stands as a reminder that the world still holds secrets capable of terrifying even the most rational minds. The future of exploration at the site remains uncertain. Some argue for caution, suggesting that the wreck should be left undisturbed to avoid provoking further reactions. Others insist that humanity cannot turn away from such a discovery, that to ignore it would be to abandon knowledge at the very threshold of revelation. New technologies are being proposed. Hardened drones resistant to electromagnetic interference, submersibles designed to withstand sudden surges of radiation, remote sensors that can map without direct contact. The next expedition will likely combine international teams, both scientific and military, as the world seeks to balance curiosity with survival. For now, the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald lies in silence, as it has for half a century, shrouded in the icy darkness of Lake Superior. Yet that silence is no longer empty. It is charged with the glow of alien lattices, the pulse of electromagnetic rhythms, and the weight of questions too vast to answer. The Fitzgerald's legacy has shifted from a story of loss to a story of confrontation with the unknown, a reminder that beneath the familiar surfaces of our world may lie forces that defy comprehension. In the depths of the lake, the ship rests, but what it has become and what it is becoming terrifies not just scientists, but the entire world. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on exploring SS Edmund Fitzgerald with underwater drones? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.